Hello and welcome to the 2020 MIT Reality Hack. I'm Ishwar, your director for this year, and we are so excited to have all of you. First off, hope all you've had a good day of workshops. We've been planning this event for months and months, and it's amazing to see it come into fruition finally, and we can't wait to go through all the cool events we have planned for this whole weekend. But first off, let's talk about who's in this audience. And for that, I'm going to invite Steven Kaputzos from the MIT Media Lab.
All right, good evening, everyone. Glad to have everyone here. I'm Steven P. Kaputzos. I'm a MIT Media Lab researcher in the personal robotics group, and my research encompasses extended reality and neurorobotics. Now, when I look into this audience, I don't see participants. I see creators. I see creators, members of the greatest development team that ever existed. And what do you mean? What do I mean by that? I mean that you all play a great part in developing, creating our future. So we have people from many different backgrounds, different ethnicities, classes, education, age groups, you name it. So that's what makes this greatest development team of all time so great, diversity. This year, we have a wide representation of gender identity, and we also have people coming from 49 different nations. In addition to that, a good proportion of you guys have been to hackathons before. So we know you guys have the skills to help make the future great. And we've looked at some of your work online, and it's incredible. It's life-changing. Some of you using all of these different technologies, augmented reality, virtual reality, to help charities and do really interesting things that I don't think any of us sometimes on our own could come up with. And again, that's the strength of diversity. So what would this future look like? This future that we're all working to create? Well, we asked you guys this year, and it was unanimous. It would be a utopia. So let's take a look at what exactly you guys thought. All right, so here we have a couple speakers, couple statements from people who are participating this year. And if you see, the first two statements talk about, in general, how great this future would be and why extended reality can help us make it so. The first one touches a bit on how diversity would be one of the main things this future should respect, should consider. It would be a place people respect everyone's background, choice, and talents. That's great. The act of building the utopia would be the utopia. And that act is what you guys are doing this week at the XR Hackathon for the next 4 days. We also talked about how we could reduce stress and make lives for everyone better. So it doesn't matter where you come from, what your background is. We cover all of it. We're diverse. And that's who you guys are. But now let's talk about what exactly you guys will do the next couple days and how that relates to this big vision we have. Well, we asked you guys again, and many of you said this XR Reality Hackathon has been one of the best hackathons you've attended. And why is that? Well, what I am most excited about for the 2020 MIT Reality Hack is being able to collaborate with participants from a wide variety of backgrounds. Wide variety of backgrounds, diversity. So I want you guys to think about that the next couple days when you guys are hacking. This isn't just about winning. This isn't just about making great connections, connecting with the sponsors, organizers, mentors, learning a lot that can help you in your careers and change the world. It's also about making a difference. It's about changing our future and making our future the best reality we can, that utopia. I'm excited to see what you guys do, and I'm looking forward to seeing the future with you guys. Excited to have you guys here.
Okay, I'm gonna stand here because I don't want to. So this is unreal. Okay, so a couple years ago, there was a hackathon put on in the Media Lab. Over the years, it's taken on an identity of its own, and I think it's pretty cool what it's become. Now at MIT, there are some gatekeepers, some guardians of this hackathon, and that's where I and my club come in. So My name's Austin Edelman. I'm the president of VR/AR at MIT. We support classes, we support initiatives, we support a studio that holds a dozen or so computers with more than 24 headsets of all kinds and varieties. That's diversity. Yeah, we're just excited we're as excited to be here as you are, so.
Cool. So I didn't prepare to talk over these slides. Yeah. Oh, thanks. Yeah, thanks. Scott Greenwald. I'm the chairman of the hackathon, and you'll hear from me a couple times here. Also, I'll just speak about the history really briefly. So Austin started with this. So this is the 4th annual hackathon of this kind that we've done, where the hacking takes place in the Media Lab. This year we have reinvented the organization and the event, partially around greater participation of the student club and also the new RealityHack nonprofit, and we continue to enjoy the support of the Media Lab. This year, thanks to Joe, who will be one of our keynote speakers, Joe Paradiso. And one of the main things that you may have seen about our reinvention so far has been our branding. So I'm just going to play a brief video here from Plain Crazy, which was the studio that we joyfully collaborated with. Do I need to press space? No? I'll try pressing space again. Great, so Ishwar is going to come back and introduce our first keynote speaker.
Scott. So we've heard a bit about what's behind this event, and we're going to get into a lot of the details of what you're going to have over the next weekend. But before we get into all of that, we wanted to have 2 keynotes to talk about what MIT has happening right now, serve as some inspiration for the weekend ahead, and think about horizons beyond this just weekend as well. So first up, we have Professor Fox Harrell, who is leading up the MIT Center for Advanced Virtuality, and he is also a professor with CSAIL. And he's worked on several virtual reality projects and is now heading up the initiative to drive humanistic virtual reality with a humanistic ethos on campus. So with great pleasure, I'm going to invite Professor Fox Harrell to come on stage.
Okay, thank you very much, Ishwar, for the gracious introduction. It's just a pleasure to be here, and Scott reminded me that I spoke at the very first of these hackathons, and it's so wonderful just to see how it's grown, flourished, and how the community has thrived since then. So, as was mentioned, I'm a professor here at MIT. I'm both in the Computer Science and AI lab, as well as in Comparative Media Studies, and I direct the new Center for Advanced Virtuality that just got its start here last year. And so I was asked just to tell you a little bit about what we do in the Center for Advanced Virtuality before you start off your event. So the Center for Advanced Virtuality is a place on campus, we call it MIT Virtuality for short, where we pioneer innovative experiences using technologies of virtuality. And I'll say a little bit about what this means for us in a moment. These, in shorthand, you can say, are computing systems that construct imaginative experiences atop the physical world. We have a growing team within the center, so we have Our XR creative director, Fran Panetta, came to join us. She was formerly the director of VR at The Guardian, a robust team of researchers, students, and others, including your own Vic Parthiban here as well. And there are 4 central functions of what we do in the center. There's a studio, which is focused on making. That is the act of expression and innovation, much like what you're doing here. We also have a research component. That's the lab. That's where we focus on the impact of the kind of works that we do, assessing those kind of works scientifically, also learning and cognition around these types of work. Sharing, so capacity building events here at MIT. And then also enabling, and that also includes collaborating with events such as this one, student involvement, and consolidating resources here on campus. So why do we use the term virtuality to begin with? For us, virtuality is not only the kind of VR, AR headset, it certainly includes it, but again, we think about how technology and computational technologies are media for enabling the imagination. Our approach to engineering and creative practice necessarily pushes the expressive potential of technologies of virtuality, also simulates social and cognitive phenomena, and intrinsically consider the social and cultural impacts. So in the center, as well as in the Imagination, Computation, and Expression laboratory that I also run, we built a number of different types of systems that address the kind of issues that came up just moments ago. So this system, Mimesis, a simulation of the experience of microaggression. In this case, the seahorse is representing the alien in one's own land, this kind of covert experience of everyday acts, small acts of discrimination that are often dismissed as minimally harmful, but have been shown by psychologists to actually be significantly detrimental to health and happiness. Works that model also how we manage impressions others have of us, how our identities are not just formed by the canonical sort of elements like mentioned, such as nationality and so forth, but also even our taste, our preferences, our musical preferences, and so on, and simulating this in AI. Building systems that are then embedded in OpenCourseware to address issues such as sexism in the workplace through narrative, through systems where you can then measure not just did people complete it, like a lot of sexual harassment surveys, actually we're measuring did you reflect, did you change your presuppositions and your mindset. Modeling racial and ethnic socialization in the classroom, which is being deployed nationally within classrooms just now. I'll speak just about a couple of projects, though, in a little bit more depth, so you can just see a little bit of what the kind of works we do look like. So The Enemy, this is one of the projects that was leading up to the Center for Advanced Virtuality. This was completed with a visiting artist, Karim Ben Khalifa. He's a war photojournalist who's been in many of the major war zones in Gaza, in Kashmir, in the Balkans, and has written for many of the major periodicals in Le Monde, Newsweek, New York Times Magazine, and so forth. So I collaborated with him on a project which brings you into contact with combatants from either side of conflict in different international conflicts, with gangs of El Salvador, in East Congo, in Gaza, and so forth. And in this VR space, 15 people are going through it at any given time, and it's measuring your body language as a proxy for your nervousness and bias, and changing staging, lighting effects, the cloud cover, and so forth, and the narrative itself, how you even see yourself by the very end of the story. So it's been written up in a lot of the major places. It's an award-winning work, but what's more important for us is the fact that we want to make this work accessible. So you can get a sense of this. It was at the MIT Museum for a number of months. It's a large-scale exhibition about the size of a hotel ballroom. And you get a sense of some of the kind of combatants within the space. They call you over. If you don't do anything, then they maintain eye contact. They will push you back a little bit if you approach too quickly. There's also an AR version. You can find this online. But we also push outwards so that you can begin thinking about what are these conflicts about in the first place? In Gaza, for example, and also the soldiers, it's all their real body language. It's really them that were complicit with the project's aims. For example, Jean Dedou was body scanned outside of a mine in the Congo for the kind of resources to build devices such as this one I'm using for this presentation. So we actually give you information about those outcomes and the reasons for the conflict. So I'll play just a brief trailer so you can get a sense of what this work looked like.
The project is rooted in my experience as a war photographer, going from one side of the front line to the other, and finding that the fighters' dreams, hopes, and nightmares are often more similar than they are different. So there is a bigger story than the war itself, and this is the one I want to explore and share. For the enemy, I am using the latest technologies in virtual and augmented realities, so you can engage directly with the combatants and feel them the way I did. In many parts of our worlds, you create an enemy as a kid without having met your enemy, because the society around you has created an enemy in the other. So the question is, could I be you if I was on the other side?
One of the notable aspects of this is at the end, you see one of the combatants again, and you realize they're moving along with you in a virtual mirror. And you realize that you have become the enemy. That is, if you were raised like your enemy, you could be your enemy. We've also initiated something which is called the Narrative, Orality, and Improvisation Research Initiative. And one of our first collaborations was with the Universal Hip Hop Museum in New York City, in the Bronx. And so this is a system that creates personalized narratives about hip hop history driven by Afrofuturist theme. So we have a conversational AI system that will measure your musical preference. That is, if you come in and listen to country and western, or jazz, or classical, as well as themes that you're interested in, you will get a narrative about, say, the role of women in hip hop with soundtrack that is all country and western hip hop songs, whether it's even just a sample, that is actually about the impact of women on hip hop and self-representation of women in hip hop. Other issues such as the inception of bling culture, or violence, or drugs and misrepresentation in hip hop. So that's a collaboration with the Universal Hip Hop Museum and Microsoft. That's up in the Bronx just now. And I'll conclude with this project called In Event of Moon Disaster, which was directed by our XR creative director, Fran Panetta, and Halsey Bergen in the Open Documentary Lab. And so this is a system that addresses the issues of misinformation in our time. It's actually using deepfakes as a medium to help create a more discerning public around deepfake technologies. And so there was a speech that was going to be given by Richard Nixon if the moon landing had been unsuccessful. It was written by Bill Safire. It was actually a very poignant speech. People think about Nixon with those quotes, "I am not a crook," and so forth. This was a really elegiac and beautiful speech. So this won the Creative Use of Technology Award at IDFA, the major documentary festival in Amsterdam. And in IDFA, there was an immersive environment that looked like a 1960s living room in which this system was playing. I'll give you just a little sense of what this looked like through a trailer again.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
12 on alarm.
Well may be the problem here. And if it doesn't reoccur, we'll be good.
Flight fighter, we've lost Mission.
Fate has ordained that the men who went to the moon to explore in peace will stay on the moon to rest in peace. Good night.
So, thank you. So many people thought this was actually a pre-recorded speech that just wasn't given, a contingency speech, but actually both the video and audio were synthesized deep fakes. Within that setting, you have newspapers that look like 1960s newspapers that actually explain and demystify deepfake technologies, how they're made, what they are, and so forth, in line with our aim about not fooling the public, but educating the public. And so to conclude, I'd like just to invite you to take part in the ethos that the Center for Advanced Virtuality has been pushing forward here at MIT. We'd like to encourage you to likewise push the potential of technologies of virtuality while intrinsically and deeply considering their social and cultural impacts. There's one of the prizes at the very end is associated with these aims, and we really just want to encourage you, not for the prize, but for the sake of the grand scale vision that was just articulated earlier, the utopian vision even, to push forward your artistry, innovation, and approach in the coming days. Thank you very much.
We got to get back to the other one. All right.
Yeah, someone.
Thanks, yeah. Thanks, Fox. It's an exciting new initiative here at MIT. Very exciting to hear about that center. So I'm going to introduce our next speaker, which is Professor Joe Paradiso from the Media Lab. Joe's been at the Media Lab since 1994, doing things that are related to cross-reality, sensor nets, and most recently sort of focusing on the intersection of humans and sensor networks. So yeah, join us up on stage here, Joe.
Thanks a lot, Scott. I got to plug in here. Yeah, HDMI. And we still live in a world of wires. I had my power supply up here.
It seems to be right here. I think this is yours.
No, it's not. I might be good. It's a little risky. Yeah, it's a Mac, an old one. If we have one good, but I can start. Over here. Yeah, we got it.
Did you say you needed power?
Yeah, I do. Is that your supply?
Yeah, it's from 2015 Mac.
Yep, perfect. Should work great.
Do you need to plug
Right there, that's probably yours.
Good. Right there on the top. Okay, let's see if the audio works. Assuming it does, we're golden. It's an easy way to check. Yeah, it works. Okay, I'm not going to talk about that. So it's so exciting to see so many people up here. For sure, augmented reality, virtual reality are going to be the transformational technologies coming up in the next decades. Your generation is going to be deeply changed by it. I believe it, you all believe it, that's why you're here. Just get it right. When I go and meet my colleagues that started the internet and people that began working sensor networks, they're all lamenting kind of what's become of some of what they've done, even though it's wonderful. It doesn't always turn out like we think. And of course, the world is always nonlinear. You can't predict all the time. Just please don't mess it up. But the beauty of a hackathon is that you're going to try all these ideas. You're going to be technically and socially provocative. We're going to see little bits of what this future is. That's how we live at the Media Lab. And you guys are going to be living that in the next days. So I really look forward to seeing what you do. Anyway, I'm going to zoom through and talk to you a little bit about some of the work we're doing in the lab. I'm going to go very quickly through some of the stuff relating to augmented reality. But the organizers, actually, I didn't have anything about myself in here, but they told me I should establish my hacker cred with you guys, because you're all hackers. So that's me in the 9th grade when I won the science fair. Back in Somerville, Massachusetts, Southern Junior High School, back in the era of Apollo 11, actually. But I was torn, though, between technology. I still do sensors. I was doing it then. But also music. I mean, I love music. I love the arts. In AR, we kind of had a bit of both. These few 45s are now what 16,000 real and virtual CDs in my life. I'm giving the real ones to the Internet Archive, so they're going to a better purpose. But I did my PhD here at MIT in high energy physics. So I joined a group. What accelerator do you think this is? No, further north. It's Daisy in Hamburg, the German E+E- collider called Petra. Back in the early 80s, they had the highest energy E+E- collider. So we had an experiment at MIT and Ting's group there. So that's me as a starting graduate student my first year in the beamline for Petra. But then I did do my PhD at CERN, so I was at CERN for 4 years. But I also built synthesizers. And you may want to take that down a little bit. This is the synthesizer that I built between 1975 and 1985. I designed and built it all myself. It's a modular. When I used to give these talks and showed this maybe 10, 15 years ago, nobody really knew what the modular was. You can turn up a little bit. Now, of course, they're back in vogue. And I still use it. It's still tremendous fun. I still even work on it a bit. As a matter of fact, even now, I have a patch in my basement that's streaming to Davos for the World Economic Forum next week. It's going to stream to the ETH Pavilion, where I built a good part of this. And again, it's all done by patching. Some of you know, right? It's a program, computer program, not written by code, but physically by how you put the wires together and patch modules. And this music is something that I did at the MIT Museum, 2012. I did many, many patches there. I have many that I've done since. If you go to synth.media.mit.edu tonight, you'll hear the one that's streaming from my basement, I hope. And you can hear the older ones too, if you like this stuff. But anyway, this is my group at the Media Lab, Responsive Environments Group. We have order of maybe 20 students now. It's a fairly large group, doing lots of things relating to sensors and how they connect to people. And what we do in augmented reality, what we call cross reality, is very much part of it. Elena is in here. She's, I think, in the back here somewhere. So one of your organizers. Very proud to have in my team. Some of you may have seen this. It was the cover article of Scientific American back in 2014. I wrote that with Gershon Dublon, one of my main PhD students working in this area. And we really were talking about how in this world we're coming into the sense of presence just blurs, because you can start tunneling to sensors that are everywhere, right? Sensor nets are kind of coming on the backs of other things. We put appliances in our home that stream sensor data. They're going to be all over our smart cities, smart highways, smart everything. How do we connect that information? How does that really transform the sense of presence? It's just intriguing to us. So we wrote about some of the things I'm going to show you at a very early stage in this article. This is an even earlier project. This is Matt Leibowitz, one of my students, did a PhD in this project way back. We built these things we called ubiquitous sensor portals. We put 45, 50 of them all over the Media Lab. They had cameras, they had microphones, lots of sensors, and a display. So we really tried to look at the idea of sensors tunneling into virtual worlds like wormholes all over, right? The wormholes communicate between universes. You can communicate between virtual and real from these sensor portals that we put everywhere. People didn't like cameras back in those days, so we had actually an on-off lamp switch over here, so you could physically turn the thing off. Still, you know, cameras are questionable, but back then, everybody was suspicious. We put Kinects on afterward. No one cared. Kinect? Oh, it's not a camera. Yes, it is. This is a quick little video talking about these things. This takes me back, mid-2000s. You can turn it up. So we built lots of them.
The ubiquitous awareness portals are sensor-rich. Inputs include stereo microphones, a motion detector, a 3-megapixel video camera, IRDA, light, temperature, humidity, and IR sensors. Outputs include a speaker, LEDs, and a touchscreen display. The portals are installed on walls throughout a building.
So
they actively scan
very
for badges.
Terry Gilliam. They actually
without
move.
badges can simply touch the screen to begin interaction. Once a badge is detected, the scanning stops. The portal then acquires information to display to the user. The user can then interact with the portal through its touchscreen display. The portals are able to cross reality into the virtual environment of Second Life.
Back then we used Second Life. Some of you remember that. So those are the virtual portals in the virtual world.
Here we see a section representing a portal in Second Life. The different virtual screens display images from the portal going back in time. Visualizations of sensor data are built into the world in Second Life. Here we see a bar graph representing activity over time. And here we see a representation of the person's activity at the portal. Avatars can access live video from the nodes within Second Life by interacting with the virtual representation. Avatars can also initiate conversations through the portals. However, permission is required on the real-world end. Short text messages can be tunneled into the real world, starting the conversation. The conversation now becomes a two-way connection, and both the real and virtual world are now linked. Ubiquitous awareness portals allow for a new level of interaction by crossing the boundaries of reality. This interaction allows the portals to truly become a looking glass into another world.
Very old-fashioned and quaint now, but back then it was different. We moved on. We started developing in Unity. We had sensors all over our beautiful new building. And what if you could just have an environment that could visualize those, so we could go into a virtual world and see the world of the sensors. So we built this thing called Doppellab. Some of you may have heard about it. This is all the HVAC sensors in the building. The temperature, humidity in the atrium is rendered here. The fog is the humidity. Color of the node is the temperature. You see the different colors represent the temperature and the fog, density of the fog, color of the fog is the humidity. These are nodes that are in public areas. If someone walks by with a badge, you can see that they walk by. This represents the motion. Of course, we have microphones everywhere. And if you're near a portal in the virtual space that maps the location of a mic in the real world, you can hear, you can listen. But we don't want to snoop, so we distorted the audio. So they're speaking English, but we granularize it in real time, drop grains, mix grains, smooth it out. So you can hear they're laughing, get some idea what's going on, but you can't really hear anything that's happening. If people tweet, the tweet shows up in the virtual world near their office. This is a big event we have at the lab, so you see a lot of famous characters wandering around. If we had their picture on file, you see it. Of course, here's Nicholas. And this is a day passing in seconds. So you can see the HVAC goes out of setback, the atrium dries out, and people start showing up. So you can play with time and space. But now we've moved outdoors. This is a project we've been doing for the last probably 5 years. Basically connecting a beautiful outdoor location. It's a former cranberry bog in Plymouth, just south of here, that's been transformed into a wetland. It was the largest restoration of a wetland on the east coast of the US. Happened a few years ago. And we put, of course, sensors out there to pick all the data up as it was being restored and coming into its own as a wetland. But because of what we do, we want to see how it connects to people. So we get the sensors, we can analyze it to see how the landscape is changing in terms of environment, but how that data connects to people really is a wonderful opportunity with all this sensor data. So we built lots of sensors. This is our sensor. It's wireless, low power, measures lots of things. We're good at that. It's done by Brian Maiden, one of my main hardware development students. We built 300 of them. We put them all over the bog. We've got well over 100 out there now. A little bit of light, they run, update a few times a minute. And it's all wireless, even the repeaters. So we do our own low power local network with ZB, and then we have a long range Wi-Fi repeater. We've got several stations like this. And it's a wetland. If you try to walk across it, you have to wear high waiter boots. It takes minutes to get even some meters. You could fall in and be submerged. That happens a lot. And I'm afraid my students and I may very well get Lyme disease because it's tick paradise. And you can go there different ways, right? You can go on the website. We have all the data, blah, blah, blah. You can hear the audio. We have downloads of code there, actually, so some of you may be interested. But you can go there in the virtual world. There are no ticks. You don't get stuck in the bog. You can go as you want. We've scanned the landscape. We have cameras actually looking at it that change the rendering according to how the real world looks. And you see the sensor data manifest in different ways. We can run it now, but it's dark and I don't have any time. I'll show you the video. But if you can download the code at the site and try it. The music comes from the sensor data. So we have 3 compositions that are mapped onto the data in real time when you're looking. This is kind of the new agey one that we did ourselves. So if it rains in the real world, rains in the virtual world, snow, same thing when we have the weather app running, fog. That's another view where you accentuate the sensor data My student Don Haddad did all these mappings. The animals in the sensor world, in the virtual world, feed on the sensor data, and they change their appearance according to the history of the data. It's been hot, they'll change the color of the fur, so on and so forth. This is another piece by Evan Ziporin, composer here at MIT, with one of my students. Much more spatialized, much more varying. But again, you can hear a landscape through the ears of the composer of your choice. We've got 3 of them running now. We're going to add some more. So we can visit in different ways. The animals have updated quite a bit. This is one of Don's latest. They've become more abstract. Actually, this video shows it here. You change temperature, humidity, so on and so forth. The appearance of the animal changes enormously. The behavior can change too. So the animals are tethered to the sensor data. You look at the animal and see what the conditions have been over time. Of course, we play with HoloLenses to recreate the whole thing, right? In science fiction, you always have people looking at an avatar of the tree before they want to blow it up. So we didn't blow anything up, but we had all of Tidmarsh here, all the data streaming in on our table, and with the HoloLens, you could have multiple people looking at it and interacting. So not too unusual now. But this is the last thing. What about when you're really there? This has all been remotely looking at this landscape. Okay, we create it in a virtual world. We can explore it in different ways. But if you're physically there, of course, we could put AR glasses, any number of them that you'll be playing with. They don't always work that well outdoors. And we really think about distraction. We want to get an experience that doesn't distract you from this beautiful natural place that you're in, but helps you to focus. So we built what we call a audio prosthetic, a sensor audio prosthetic. This is the first version. So we track the head. We've got an IMU over here, inertial measurement unit. We can see where you're facing. With your phone, we know GPS where you are. And then we had all these sensors to look at attention. The idea is when you're focusing on something, then you could start fading in the sounds from the microphones. We have microphones all over this landscape. So you can start hearing with more sensitivity things that are around where you're looking. And it turns out we didn't need all this pupil diameter, EEG, all this stuff, because it gave some input, but it was marginal compared to just looking at the head pose. Because when you tend to focus on something, you tend to stay still and look. And when we sense that, we can start fading in the sounds more precisely that are ahead of you. So we've run it with many people there. This is the final version that we had. Very simple, just bone conduction. Leave your ears open. Cover the ears, it's a different experience. So with bone conduction, it turns out that, especially when you're moving your head, the spatialization is wonderful. It really does sound like your ears are superpowered. You turn your head, you hear this virtual sources, it feels like they're real. It's a little bit like, I don't know if any of you ever had a bad case of wax in your ears. When I was a student, I had that once. I didn't know because I adapted to it. I went to the infirmary here. They said, oh, we got wax, let's clean it out. They cleaned it out. I took a bus ride home. It was one of the most amazing experiences I've ever had in my life. It's incredible because you hear the subtlety in sound, right? Any little bit of characteristic, even the reverb, it all sounded different, much richer. This is the same kind of experience because we have microphones all over. They're all being cross-faded, mixed together, and they're tracking your head, and again, tracking your pose. So for me, it was an experience. This is some of our subjects. This is Dan Gager from Bose. He's designed most of their famous headphones. And for him, this was a different thing.
As I move my head,
this is an environmentalist collaborator.
The tree birds. And now I'm hearing more ducks and geese and froggy frogs. And I put on my supersonic beam.
We had a manual focus too. If you touched it, you'd focus to the sounds that were forward.
And now I'm getting this the forest because I just moved my head this way. I can really hone in. There must be one right there.
You could walk through in the winter and hear the spring. Very different experience. You don't want to take it off. You feel diminished when you take it off. This woman is kind of a Luddite. She's a famous nature writer. She had just gotten a cell phone weeks before. But she looked right through the technology.
So this is this is bringing listening. This is really cool.
So, I'm just overpowered thinking
The
about
site has been turned over to Mass Audubon. We're talking to them about perhaps going forward with this for visitors.
this is a tool for
we'll see what happens.
exploring the landscape.
So we'll close with Dan here. That's the reaction we all live for, right? Anyway, thank you. Getting back to my charts, you guys, just very briefly. the fractionalization of humanity that we've seen with social media and phones already at arm's length, once we wear this stuff all the time, we all see a different reality. It just could take off, right? We've got to solve this now before we actually usher in the technologies that we're bringing forward. So I think it's in all of our minds. Fox talked to that a little bit. It's crucial. How will human presence generalize? How will we control access to our attention? Because our attention is going to be hijacked. We've all seen the hyperreality video by Massey. It's wonderful. We don't want to live in that world. Although when it went away, you felt diminished. It was interesting. How do we control, also how we control attention paid to us? It works both ways, right? That's privacy, because that world wants to see us, wants to snoop on us, wants to use that information for its own benefit. Ideally, it will be our benefit. We've got to build that. And I don't want my attention hijacked against my will either. Where does self-stop other begin? Huge issue for your generation. Already with social media, with texting, with everything else, people make decisions collectively. The whole idea of individual identity is starting to blur. It may not be a bad thing, it's very different. What is it going to be like? And again, getting back to what Fox talked about, the idea of physical bias, physical social bias, right? We're all going to look like what we want to look like. So is the whole natural idea of bias going to go away, or is it going to be something at a totally different level, right? This may be a deeper problem, how we're going to heal this, how we're going to fix it in this world. Anyway, just some charges. You guys all have ideas. It's going to be great. Just go out there and show the world some great, fascinating things that are going to happen. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Joe. That was a lot of fascinating work, and we're walking on the shoulders of giants like yourself, so we're very happy to have you here today. We want to talk a little bit about the hackathon now, and why we do this thing. We all have different reasons for coming together and putting on this event, but the most important thing that we all think that we share is to let all the participants and attendees have the best time possible. That's our single goal, to help improve access, to help provide access to the hardware, access to the talent, access to each other, access to the companies, space, the ideas, all of that. And that really drives all of us. This is a volunteer-driven initiative, and that is what unites all of us. That's what brings our sponsors here. And really happy to be able to continue this event onwards and be able to keep it going, and we hope to have it do so for as long as we can.
Cool. So we're going to say a couple of the same things, but yeah. So just want to start out by saying, this hackathon is different from a lot of other hackathons. You'll notice it in some of the rules and some of the ways that you interact with us. And we're sort of I'm sort of embarrassed to say this out loud, but we considered calling it a learnathon. Never seriously, but it kept coming up because it was like, well, what is it? There's a day of workshops at the beginning, right? And so, our mission is to have you learn, connect, and create, and we sort of craft the concept of the event around, how what we think will make the best event. So let's see. So we think that. Sort of more broadly speaking, what are we doing this for? We think that what we're doing here is an essential companion to what our sponsor companies are doing here to create the future of spatial computing and to sort of achieve the level of impact that we think it's going to have. In other words, there's been sort of false starts to the industry. There was sort of like a boom and doom from 2014 to 2018 in the VR world, and it sort of had to do with people misestimating the adoption of the technology. And I think what everyone's kind of discovering is that it's, even though some of the, let's say, business use cases or creative use cases are well defined, it's harder to realize them than anyone expected, and part of that is that you need just a bunch of people to try a bunch of things, and it just takes time, and the companies can't do it alone. You know, they can make products, but that's, you know, long lead time, and it's hard and slow, and stuff like this is kind of a companion to that, an essential companion. You know, we're seeing, so that's one of the things that motivates at least me and I think some of the other organizers. I wanted to mention that we had some sort of, we've always had this open source requirement, and the idea of that was that, you know, we want to share with the world what goes on here. That's sort of the point, like we give you stuff and you give the world stuff. But also we had sort of minor change, one sort of minor change you'll notice to the rules this year is that you can now use some paid assets. And you know, when we were thinking about our goals, it was like, well, we're saying you can't buy this asset for $1 that, you know, does something really useful that you would never do yourself because you would always pay $1, but you can't use it at our event, just because we want people to be able to download it and not have to pay $1. And while I do still sort of like that idea, we felt that that was sacrificing the quality of your experience here for like not necessarily a great reason. So you're going to hear more about the rules later, but I just wanted to share sort of some of the thinking that goes into this, right? That's sort of how we're setting our priorities and trying to make the rules reflect those priorities. So Craig will talk about the rules more later, and Ishwar sort of mentioned this a moment ago, but you know, we are all volunteers. We're just doing this because we love you and this, and so if there's anything that's not to your liking, that's, you know, you think is either not going great or not fair or something like that, you know, we're doing our best. Please give us feedback, and we'll, if we can address something this year, we'll do it, and if not, we'll address it next year. So just wanted to mention that. So please reach out to any of the organizing team if you have any suggestions. Great. So now this is sort of going to be like the philosophical interlude here, and actually it plays in much better than I expected with some of the previous talks. So sort of, we've talked a lot about diversity. I'm going to talk about the word inclusion. What is inclusion? So when you create tool, product, experience, context, event, inclusion is where you actively consider and provide access to and make welcome all kinds of people. Right, that's sort of, I mean, that's not a standard definition, but it's sort of, I just wrote it down. Within the necessary constraints of the context. That's just to say, you know, if it's a surfing competition, you have to know how to surf, right? But beyond that, you sort of include people. And understanding this idea is critical and easy, right? We get it, we all get it. But sort of living it, right, is actually a lot more difficult. And so the reason that living inclusion is hard is that we've all grown up in a world that is less inclusive than the world that we're trying to build, or at least I'm speaking for myself here, and I think for a lot of us. So we have reflexive biases and ingrained practices that are not inclusive. And so when we all come together, those things can come out. And it's sort of all of our job to try to be both listen and to speak. And so I'm going to say our biggest challenge here as a community is to voice concern and receive voice concerns in a way that is gentle and respectful, but also unambiguous. So this is sort of, I sort of had 4 points or so to say this, but I boiled it down into this one. You know, people are going to mess up. They're gonna say or do things that are, you know, slightly offensive to others. And we need to be understanding of them, but as I said, we also need to know, they need to know, you know, that they've messed up, if you will, and we need to be, you know, gentle, respectful, and not stressful or defensive or offensive as we talk about these things. So that's, I just challenge all of you, sort of encourage you, demand of you to take this on over the next couple of days. So now just sort of to bring it down and to some simpler and easier ideas. Diversity, we've introduced diversity in 2 sort of important, easy to distinguish ways in our event. Or inclusion. Inclusion means diversity of participants, and it also means accessibility as a focus for projects. So actually last year, there was an organic focus on accessibility, and this year, as you'll hear in a moment, some of our sponsors also in particular want to bring that out even more than it was brought out last year. So I am going to hand it off to Michael, who's going to introduce our sponsors.
Thank you, Scott. So this event's a lot of work. Volunteers have put in months of efforts, and equally so, the sponsors have been preparing for weeks for this event. Lots of back and forth, shipping everything to and from, and actually getting everyone over here. Actually, could all the sponsors come down right for these keynotes? If you're a sponsor, come down on the sides. Cool. Okay, thank you. Thank you, guys. I'd really like to emphasize that this event wouldn't be possible without all of these guys. A lot of work has been put towards this event. And now for the first keynote, Microsoft. Great, Jesse.
Thank you. We are so super excited to be here, and I hope all of you are too. Just real quick, does anybody that's not a Microsoft employee know what our corporate value, like our corporate motto is? So our kind of mission statement is to make every person, every organization in the world more productive, and that's why we are here. We want to make you guys super productive on your projects and also have a really great time. I love being here. I came here last year. How many people were here last year? Awesome. I had a really great time last year, but I also saw like super value in this event. And I went back to work and I said, this is an event that we have to be back at and we have to come back big. And so that's what we're doing. This year we decided we're going to sponsor the Hacker Lounge. So we've got a big area up in the mentors or in the sponsor space. We're going to have mentors, we're going to have swag, snacks, haul-ins too, and Connect demos. So if you don't get to borrow one for your stuff and you still want to get to see what it's all about, come over to our area. We've got a couple Surface Studios, like 20-some beanbag chairs, 2 big TVs with Xboxes, a couple HP Reverbs and G2 backpacks, because we want you all to have fun and come hang out with us. Talk to us, don't talk to us, come get swag, don't talk to us. I don't care, as long as you guys have a good time. That's what it's really all about, is all of you being creative and being here with us. So definitely come visit us there. To Scott's inclusion thing, that was super awesome, because the other thing we want to talk about is we are going to do a networking reception just to celebrate inclusion in this industry. This is a big problem in tech and has been for a long, long time. And I don't have numbers to back it up, but I feel like XR is a space where we are solving this a lot faster than anybody else. And that's something to celebrate. And I think this event is a good way to prove it. So Sunday, before the dinner time-ish, we're going to have this event. We do have limited space. We can't, unfortunately, have like all 400 and some odd of you there. So Sunday, we'll open up reservations in our area. First come, first serve. We'll have a wait list. But it's really just a networking event to celebrate the inclusion that we see here and all of you. So we're really excited. Hope you guys visit us, and that's it for me.
Thank you. And Real?
You know what? It's incredible. I see the big screen now, and I can see us now.
Here's one for $500 called Real. It plugs into an Android phone, has some very advanced cameras, and looks like this. So the idea is these glasses apps and music video layered on top of the real world around you. Living the dream. The view from inside the Unreal glasses is actually good enough that it's kind of terrifying. Oh, geez, God,
is at CES called Nebula, which means you'll be able to run your phone's regular apps as panels in your environment.
This is a real-life application. I can actually move around, right, and it will still stay here. Yeah. Okay, I can still see you guys because this is augmented reality. Oh yeah.
And you see the model in real size.
Oh really? So I can walk.
Yeah, you can walk around.
Okay, so hello there. The things that I saw here on the table before, they were very, very nice and super clear. And when I was looking around here, the stuff did stay on the table, so the tracking was really good.
Most fun one for me was a zombie attack.
Sorry, the time was limit, so we just start from here. So hi, everyone. My name is Wei, and I'm the lead product manager from Unreal. And the first thing that I really want to say is that Unreal loves developers. So that's why we fly all the way from the other side of the earth and come here and just to spend 5 days with you guys. So may I ask, like, how many of you have never heard about Unreal before? Raise your hand if you have never heard about us. Okay, great. So I'm glad that we come here. So this afternoon we did a workshop, and there are a lot of people came, but we didn't got the chance to show the demo to everyone. But from tomorrow, we will have a table at the hiking area, so everybody is more than welcome to come and see our demos. And so we're Unreal, and our vision is we want to make mixed reality for everyone. So with this vision, so we actually we make this. We call it Unreal Light. We call it Unreal Light because it's super light. It's only 88 grams. So you can actually take it anywhere. So with this very compact form factor, and also it's affordable. So we think it's very comfortable for users to wear for a long time. And so also we make it very affordable. So the price point is actually $499. But the key thing that I want to say about here is that we are compatible with all the major Android smartphones. So that means what you need to do is you just have this mixed reality glasses, and you plug into your Android smartphone, and it works just like what the video you just watched is captured in real time through Unreal glasses. So that's why we think we are the first ready-to-wear mixed reality glasses, and we want to be consumer ready in 2020. So please definitely look at our demos, and you're more than welcome to try out our hardwares and also develop on our SDK. And we are the mentors from Unreal. Can you just wave your hands? Yeah, we have we bring the engineers and the product managers, and we're all here to support you to build killer apps on our platform. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Magic Leap. Magic Leap. We have Magic Leap. Oh, awesome.
Hey, everybody. So every conversation I've had so far since I've been here, I've gotten a taste, kind of a glimpse of the passion and vision that you have for spatial computing, for VR and AR. Like, you get it. You have the bug, and you understand how the technologies of today are very quickly going to become like the all-day, everyday technologies of tomorrow. And we're really excited to see you kind of pioneer that path, and we want to move along forward with you. Why develop from Magic Leap? You have a lot of choices here. Well, with our learning resources and on-site mentors, we'll be able to help get your Unity and Unreal projects up and running, ready for rapid prototyping in less than 30 minutes. Just time is of the essence, and we really want to help you just get your project out the gate. And secondly, we've created a fast-track publishing pipeline for hackathon projects just like yours, so it'll let your hackathon project kind of live beyond the hackathon. Our mentors will help prep your project, not just for like judging here, but also for publishing, so that you can share your app with other developers, keep gathering feedback, and connect with the Magic Leap developer community. Grateful to be here. Thanks for everybody.
Thank you, Magic Leap. PC.
Hi, everyone. My name is Susan Talbot. I'm here tonight from PTC. For those of you who might not be as familiar with PTC, we're a global software company headquartered right here in Boston. And at PTC, we really believe in the opportunity created at the convergence of the physical and the digital worlds. And we've created CAD, PLM, IoT, and AR products that are amazing. And as many of you know, PTC is also the home of Euphoria, so hopefully a couple of you got to go to that workshop today. We've been a longtime sponsor of this event, and we're absolutely thrilled to be back here again this year. We're excited to be a part of the logistics and productivity tracks, as well as looking forward to seeing the best use of Euphoria. We have a couple people who are going to be here volunteering and mentoring throughout the event. So please feel free to reach out, stop by our table. We have some swag too. And we're really excited to see what you guys are going to do this year. So thanks so much.
Thank you, PTC. Cool. There are people. Oh, Dario.
Hi, everyone. Hi, I'm Dario, and at HTC is really proud to be back again. This year we have more equipment to loan out. We have the Vive Pro Eye. I gave it a workshop earlier, and I'm really interested in seeing what use cases you can do with the Vive Pro Eye. But not just the Vive Pro Eye, not just the eye tracking. I mean, also we have, because of the dual-facing cameras, we've always, actually since the very first Vive, we've had a front-facing camera where you can actually use that for mixed reality and even AR. So please play with our XR pass-through APIs as well. And that's all. It's great to be back.
Thank you. HP? No. Okay. So HP is giving us awesome backpack PCs, tons of PCs, and other types of support in HMDs. So it's going to make hacking a lot easier because I know all of you have like awesome desktops, but you can't lug them over to Boston. So HP is a huge help there. Volvo.
Hello. We are glad to be here. So we brought two Vario headsets, the XR1 and VR2 Pro. XR1 is the first in the world to leave the office, Vario's office, so I shipped it here really quick. And we have two templates with the Vario source that we used for our multi-awarded demo, and please ask to get the assets. And we have Jacob, that's the mentor from Volvo side. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we're going to be transitioning to logistics. Oh, no one? No one? Come up here.
Hi, I'm Noah, and I'm working with a company called Smart Prototyping in Shenzhen to provide 10 Project North Star headsets for you guys to use if you'd like them. Glad you're enthusiastic about it. And Leap Motion, Ultraleap, graciously provided us with 10 Leap Motion controller sensors to put in there. My understanding is that there will also be Steam VR pucks, Vive pucks to use for tracking. So, it'll be a complete usable platform. I hand-assembled the headsets myself for the event, so I hope you enjoy using them. And yep, that's it.
Great, thank you. Yeah. Ishwar has built a bunch of North Star headsets himself. We have two of them in the cave.
huge thank you to all of our sponsors for making the event happen. Without them, this all would not be possible. So let's just give another round of applause for all of them. So let's go ahead and talk about the weekend. I know we're all excited about what's coming next. So first off, what's the schedule going to look like? So we got through a day full of workshops today. We are nearly done with opening ceremonies, not quite done yet. And then we're going to have team formation next, and it's going to be a lot of fun. We have some interesting, an interesting plan for team formation, which we'll reveal a little bit later. So hopefully by the end of the night, all of you will be in a team, and you'll be ready to start hacking. Tomorrow morning, when you come in, you'll have some time to go around and try out all the hardware that we have here. Some of the headsets you might not have tried. There's lots of new toys available to play with, so you'll get some time to actually test everything out and see what's the best thing to use for my idea. Once you do that, you're going to submit a form, and you're going to get ready to loan out hardware and go ahead and start hacking. And after that, you're going to have till Sunday morning to hack. Once you're done, we're going to have judging throughout Sunday. And you are done with the bulk of the weekend at that point, and we're going to have a fantastic celebration party, which I'm really excited for, Sunday night. And then Monday, we're going to have a award ceremony, give out some money, and some other prizes. And then lastly, we're going to have a public expo to showcase what you've built to lots of folks who are coming in to check out what's the future of AR, VR computing in general is going to look like. Now, let's talk about what you're going to do tomorrow. So we've spent today under the dome, under the iconic MIT main group campus. I hope you all got a taste of what it's like to be a student again, if you aren't a student, or maybe you're sick of school and didn't want to be here. But we're moving over to the Media Lab tomorrow, where we're going to be for the next 3 days. So if you're a past hacker, you're familiar with the Media Lab. If you're not a past hacker, you'll be able to find all the directions and info on our website. You're also going to get an email with all the stuff that we just went through. So first off, what you see in the middle is a side cutout view of the Media Lab. So visualize with me here a little bit. So there's two main hacking spaces. The first is on the 6th floor, which is in orange, all the way up top. The second main hacking space is in green on the lower left. You're going to take the elevators or the staircase to get between the two. The 6th floor is our primary hacking space, which has a couple different regions. And then the lower level, which we see here, has one main region. And we've got names for them this year. So if you're in the lower level, you're in Atlantis. And if you're on the 6th floor, you're either in the Orchard or in Acadia. We've got a couple of the pieces of the 6th floor. So the island is an amphitheater classroom, which will be used for kickoffs and pop-up workshops and a couple other things like that occasionally, which you'll see in the schedule, but will not be a primary hacking space throughout the weekend. We've got the Microsoft Hacker Lounge that Jesse talked about a little bit earlier, right in the middle, next to the elevators. We'll have sponsors of tables around that central region that you see there, where you'll be in the mornings checking out hardware. We've also got what we see up there called the Escape Pod. You might be wondering what that is. So we know the hackathons can get hectic. It's a lot of noise, a lot of people. If you want to get away from it, we're building a little zone where you can get away. And we've actually designed and built a custom VR installation for this, thanks to a couple folks on our team. A couple shout outs for them, Wiley Corning, Maria Rice, and Sean Rodrigo, who's not here with us. They spent a couple weeks designing this VR installation for all of you. So if you want to escape away from all of the noise and people, you can go away and do that in the Escape Pod. Meditate, relax, take a nap, whatever it is you want to do. You can go ahead and do that. And of course, we have the kitchen right in the middle, where we're all going to get fed with some really good food. So that's definitely the most important part of this map. And with that, let's talk about hardware checkout. And I'm going to get Luis up here, who's going to be our head of inventory, so you can become good friends with him.
Hello, guys. It's good to see all of you. I'm here to talk about hardware, which I'm very excited about because that's my favorite part of the hackathon. This year we're going to do hardware slightly different because we want to optimize this as much as possible so that most of you get to have as much fun as possible. So let's talk about the hardware checkout system. Every hacking day in the morning at 8 a.m., we're going to have at the Media Lab a hardware desk where your team is going to pick up the hardware that you're going to use for hacking. In the end of every hacking day at 11 p.m., you have to return the gear that you picked up during the day. When you pick up gear, you're going to just need to leave some sort of ID with us that we're going to obviously return once you return the gear back to us. But before you are able to pick up the hardware, you need to tell us what hardware you want. And this has to be approved by our team. And the reason why we decided to go this way is because we want to be able to look at your project ideas. And if, for instance, a particular group wants to use a headset that just ran out, if we have a description of your project, we may be able to give you another headset that's very compatible with your project. So we are expecting this year for everyone to be able to do what they want. The way you're going to tell us what hardware you would like to use is through a form. And you're going to receive a link once your teams are completely formed and you sign in your team at the end of tonight. You're going to receive a link of how to get to this form. And the form is going to have a list of all of the available hardware. You're going to select all of it. You're going to give a description of the project that you want to make. And the reason we want that description is so that we can give you hardware in case we run out of something. So don't worry too much about describing the vision of your project as much as the technical side of it. And once we receive your form with the hardware that you would like to receive, we're going to analyze them, and we're going to email back a confirmation email. As soon as your team has the confirmation email, 8 a.m. on Friday, you're able to come to our desk and pick up all the hardware you would like to use. Please, pink letter, only one person of the group send a hardware sheet. That's very important. That's going to make our lives a lot easier if you don't send multiple of those. So I'm excited to announce this is our headsets for our hardwares for the hackathon of 2020. So these pieces of hardware and HMDs will all be available at the sheet for you to select. We also have HoloLens 2s, but the checkout process for those is going to be handled directly with Microsoft at the hacking days at the Media Lab. And on top of this, we also have a bunch of wild cards, or Wild West pieces that we're calling them. And these include heart rate monitors, Arduinos, and a bunch of other steering wheel and pedals and joysticks that you may want to use on your hacking project. Also, Normcore is giving everyone here a pro license of their networking tools. Also at the Media Lab. And VisionLib, who makes a piece of software of geometry vision that's very helpful for AI and recognition, is also giving everyone an educational license of their software. So I'm really excited to see what you guys come up with. I can't wait to see your faces, and have a good hacking. And now Craig is going to talk a little bit about the rules. Thank you so much.
Awesome. So for the main part, I'm not going to be going into great detail of the rules. I'm just going to be pointing out some main key parts of the rules. So that's like pre-hack, team formation, and your project submission process. For the complete list of rules, you can go to our website. They'll all be posted by 8 a.m. tomorrow. And a thing about our rules, if there's something you don't like or doesn't jive with you, just know that all our rules are made and are there to make sure we have a fair, competitive environment where everyone has a chance to win these prizes. So before hack, there is no coding, no modeling until 8 a.m. tomorrow. And the reason for that is not everyone has their computer or devices that they'll be using. Some of them are checking out from us. So just to create a fair environment across the board, do not create anything that you'll be submitting tonight You can go home and talk tonight, but don't create anything until 8 a.m. tomorrow. All hacking should be done in the MIT Media Lab. Don't go to someone's apartment, or chances are when we go through our process to like double check teams, if your team's not there, then you will end up being disqualified. So make sure your team is at the MIT Media Lab. On Saturday night, we'll be doing a checkup just to make sure your team is following the rules. And also just making sure that you understand the process of everything you need to submit. So on Saturday, your team might be tired or want to go to sleep, or you feel like you're done and you go home. Don't do that. So on Saturday night, make sure someone from the either judging or mentoring team has come by to your desk and gone through and made sure that like what your team is, your team name, who's on your team, and has gotten all your information, especially about the track that you'll be qualifying for or that you feel your project qualifies for. And that would be like your official designation of I'm putting my hat into the best of VR or the best of AR tracks. So going into the tracks, we have 3 different types of tracks. So we have side quests that we're calling them. So that's besides like the grand VR or AR. So if you're doing any AR project or doing any VR project, you're going to automatically qualify for those grand prizes. And for our side quests, these are smaller things like best of healthcare or best of logistics. Again, we're not posting those until 8 a.m. tomorrow. So just go to our website in the morning, and there'll be all sorts of awesome rules you can go over, as well as like the tracks to where you and your team, after you've done team formation tonight, can go through. So one thing I do want to mention about team formation is that you must have at least 2 people on your team and no more than 5. And the reason for that is, oh yeah, and the one rule I feel like we shouldn't have to mention, but we do, you can only be on one team. So only join one team. The team formation process tonight is going to be a lot of fun, and I'm really looking forward to them coming in and explaining it. One more thing, if we go back to, another thing about team formation, you cannot work with someone you've already worked on a project with before. So you can't work with your coworker or someone you did a school project with. And the reason for that is that we just want to make a fair and competitive environment. And also the goal is we want to encourage you to meet new people. There's over 300 people here from over 30 different countries, and a round of applause for that. And by meeting other people, you're just giving yourself an opportunity to not only learn more about other cultures and other people, but to learn more about yourself. So at the team formation, go out and find someone new that you don't even know and form a really awesome team based on skills. So we do encourage that your teams don't just make a team of coders. That's not recommended at all. Or don't just make a team of artists. Just find other people outside your talent set and make a complete talent. So we encourage at least one designer, at least one modeler and coder on your team is like the basic triangle. Of course, there's all sorts of like audio people that you might want. And again, just go around, meet as many people as possible at this event. Highly encouraged. So back to like assets, and like Scott said earlier, you cannot pay for audio or visual assets. So those need to be constructed here on site. And so as far as like plugins, low-cost ones are okay. If it is a plugin that costs like $1,000, don't do that. However, free trials, basically, as long as everyone can have access to it, reasonably is a go. So, and this is where it gets a little bit tricky, where you're like, I want to use this, but I'm not sure. If you're not sure, you can just email team@mitrealityhack.com, and also on site at our information booth, just go over to them. And we have a process where you can make a rules inquiry, and they'll take a note of it, and then you can actually just go back to your hack, and we'll take a note. We'll get the relevant people involved, and they'll make an official ruling declaration on your request, and then we'll inform you as well as everyone else what the decision was on that piece. And then one last thing is projects must follow our code of conduct, so anything that breaks our code of conduct will be disqualified as well. So again, and then let's see if I missed anything here. So we talked about on Saturday night we have your check-in, but on Sunday you'll be doing things like committing everything to DevPost. and GitHub. So as soon as everything's there and pencils are down, you can't add anything more. So after pencils down, like you're stop. And if we understand that sometimes there's problems where you're trying to check everything and try and do it like 3 hours before you need to on Sunday. So in the past, we had tried to force everyone to do that on Sunday, and we felt like it ruined the hacking. So we're just letting you do all the final submission process on Sunday. And again, we'll be checking in with you on Saturday to go over all these things again in person. And if you have any questions at any time, just go to the information booth, and we'll get that sorted out. All right, and then the last and most important rule is to have fun at this event. Thank you.
How do you escape out of here? How do I escape?
We can do mentorship all together. Okay, sure. All right. Hey everyone, this is Vic. Where is Victor? Is Victor around here somewhere? Oh, there you are. Come on down. Yeah, so we're running the mentorship process this year. I'm Vic, and this is Victor. And we have some amazing folks here from all over the country and all over the world who are coming here to help support you guys hack and create useful projects and fun projects. Just a little bit about myself. I started in the XR industry about 5 years ago, building lenses in the clean room. So I just kept doing that, and that ended up being my focus area for research at the Media Lab. And then since then, it's been part of the hackathon. So, and Victor, do you want to share a little bit about yourself?
I don't think.
Well, I'm sure. So basically, we've been working together a lot this past few months on essentially trying to bring together a group that would really care for our hackers here. And so I think if you go to the next slide, yeah. If you go to this website here, you'll see the list of all the mentors that are on the website and people that are here in the room right now. And these folks here are all here just for you guys, and they've taken their time out of their work schedules and other parts of their life to come here to serve you guys and to be there for you all. And so how many of you guys here is your first hackathon? Yeah, so quite a few. So I know there's a lot of information that we had shared today, and I don't want you all to feel overwhelmed, and so we're here for you all to just support you in the process of forming teams. And so we just wanted to know that there is a group here for you all, and please don't hesitate to ask us. How many of you guys got lost when you got to MIT? Yeah. It always happens. We can't really, it's hard to avoid. But, you know, for the mentor team formation, what we're going to do is there's the tall pillars, building 7. If you just go right out, that's where we're going to do a lot of team formation, and Victor talked a bit more about that process. And I've been posting a few announcements on Slack about where these buildings are, but if you just go to whereis.mit.edu, you could find these buildings. Oh, and Discord, yes. There's an announcement channel on Discord as well. Yeah, I think let's just start with the team formation. You want to go for it?
Well, so just to clarify, we're the ones saying team formation?
No, we're
right. So no team formation for us.
Okay, so
let's just cover mentorship.
Mentorship. Okay, cool. All right, so we will go to the team formation with Sultan and the team afterwards.
I mean, maybe a good place to start is participants, you have these questions, a good place to go. This URL will tell you all the mentors that are at this event. I think it's close to 70 now or more. And so great place to go. These are people that will and are encouraged to support you during the event. You might actually see some people with pink lanyards come up and talk to you, ask you about your project, kind of delve into maybe your tech stack or what the narrative of your project is, and don't hesitate to, you know, talk to them, loop them in, get their opinion on something. They're here to help, and they're here for you. So maybe some, you know, logistics thing. So this is you guys, y'all are all on Discord, so you've maybe seen this. Get mentor help with a light bulb, and then underneath you have this great array of specialized topics, and more will be added as the event goes on to get deeper and deeper into what your questions are and how we can help as most effectively as possible. This is an example thing that you might post in one of them. It is essentially, here's my problem and here's where I am. And then it will be the mentor's jobs and our jobs to coordinate effectively and to use the Discord functionality to best direct you to how you can get your help. And it might take, the first mentor might have the most brilliant answer, maybe if not, then the second one will. But our job is to get your questions answered and for you to be up and running as quickly as possible with no blockers, and hopefully have the best shot possible to building something great and changing the world and building a utopia.
And so I just want to say, we have about 60 mentors here, I believe, and so we're all here to help. And I would check Discord. We have a lot of channels here, as you see on the left. And so without further ado, let's go to the team formation. Okay, we'll change of plans.
Hi there, I'm Julie Driver. I am one of the people that's been behind the scenes for the last couple of months, and I'm going to talk to you about the code of conduct for a minute. Please stand up today. If so far you've felt the space is positive, friendly, safe, and welcoming. That's awesome. Good job, everybody. So your positive, friendly, safe, and welcoming environment at RealityHack is governed by our Safe Space Committee and our Code of Conduct. If over the next 4 days you feel any participant, mentor, sponsor, volunteer, or staff member is contributing to a space that is not friendly, safe, welcoming, or happy, please come forward. I'm going to go through some of the behaviors that we've outlined on our Code of Conduct just as a quick reminder. It's only 6 things. I'm only up here for a few minutes. So, communicate. Participate in an authentic and active way. In doing so, you contribute to the health and longevity of this community. Exercise consideration and respect in your speech and actions. Come from a place of understanding. Attempt collaboration before conflict. Refrain from demeaning, discriminatory, or harassing behavior in speech. Be mindful of your surroundings and your fellow participants. Alert community leaders if you notice a dangerous situation, someone in distress, or violations of this code of conduct, even if they seem inconsequential. So if you see something, say something. The ways that you can make reports. We will be posting links. I'm not sure if it's a website or on the Discord, but there will be a toolkit available to give you options to make reports anonymously or to people. You can speak with a staff member. Staff members have the blue lanyards. Those are also volunteers. You can also contact Sarah, who I think is speaking next, or Ishwar. Their contact information is listed in the Code of Conduct. Of course, 911 for emergencies. So let's work together to keep harmony for the entire weekend. Happy hacking.
All right, you guys, I'm about to hack the hackathon, which is what I do. So this was not planned, but it's a personal response to something that happened earlier that some people may have caught and other people may not have caught. But as we sort of navigate this space, I think there are a lot of, well, it's an exciting time. So we started off talking about this sort of utopia that we're trying to build, and so it's sort of like, if we are the future of this XR community and this new field, and then like what does that look like and how do we get there? So I'm going to play an obscure scene from a French film, La Haine, which is one amazing film by Matthew Kosovitz. Some of you might be familiar with it. I'm not going to set it up too much. I'm just going to play the scene. How do I get this full screen? Just drag it over. on full screen it.
Ça fait vraiment du bien de chier un coup. Il ne faut pas se demander si on croit en Dieu, mais si Dieu croit en nous. J'avais un ami qui s'appelait Grunwaldski. On était de... Quand on va en Sibérie, dans les camps de travail, on voyage dans le train à bestiaux qui traverse les... On croisait personne. On se tient chaud ensemble. Mais le problème, c'est que pour se soulager, pour chier, c'est pas possible dans un wagon. Et le seul moment où on s'arrêtait, c'était pour mettre l'eau dans la locomotive. Mais Gorbatsky était très pris. On avait ensemble, il était très gêné. Et moi, je me moquais souvent de lui à cause de ça. Donc, le train s'arrête et tout le monde en profite pour aller chier derrière le wagon. Et moi, j'ai tellement embêté Grunwaldski avec ça. Il préférait aller un peu plus loin. Donc, le train, tout le monde y sort dedans, car le train, il n'attend pas. Le problème, c'est que Grunwaldski s'est éloigné derrière un buisson. Il n'avait pas fini de chier. Alors, je le vois, il sort de derrière un buisson, en tenant son pantalon dans sa main pour ne pas qu'il tombe. Il a essayé d'attraper le train. Je le tends la main. Il lâche son pantalon, il tombe sur ses cellules. Il remonte ses pantalons, il reprend sa course. Et chaque fois, son pantalon il tombe quand il me tend la main.
Et alors, après, qu'est-ce qui s'est passé?
Rien. Grunwaldski est mort de froid. Au revoir. Au revoir. Au revoir.
Pourquoi il nous a raconté ça?
All right. I'm actually not going to explain that. So, moving on to team formation. Or do we go back? There we go. I'll let you take over. I got you. It levels, it animates.
Aha, I see. Hi, guys. I'm the most important person in this room, I think. I'm totally kidding. I'm totally kidding. Thank you all for coming. Who am I? I'm Sarah. That's it. I just have one name. If you have any problems, if you have any questions or concerns or anything, please come to me. I probably am the best point of contact to get to you to help or to point you to somebody else who might be the best to get you what you need. So please come see me. I'm pretty fun, and I always have snacks. So we're going to talk about team formation. Hopefully you guys started meeting each other and talking about the different things that you want to create, and which is wonderful. We are going to be back under the dome, and we're going to be putting up paper up on the walls. They're doing that now, so hopefully they actually are putting up the paper, and the paper's going to be there. But we're going to put up paper, we're going to give you Sharpies, and we're also going to give you Post-its, so you can brainstorm. It's a time to really just do whatever you need to do to put it up there, because I know we've worked with paper in the past, but this is for everybody to kind of see what everybody else is doing. And the Post-its too, so you can kind of input where you want on other people's things and start to collaborate and integrate, and it's visible. So we are actually going to do it it's kind of like speed dating. Where we're going to move things along. And this is so you can kind of continually step out of your comfort zone to move it to like another person or to another idea or another level. So we're gonna start, I think the first thing is like maybe 10 minutes or 15 minutes. And then it's like another 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 10 minutes. You'll hear it. But I just want to put that in your head so when we go through these slides, you understand what's going on. Speed dating. You're going to be in under the dome. There are 3 levels, okay? So the first one is where the paper is, and you'll start to just go, brainstorm. And then that'll last, let's say 15 minutes, 20 minutes maybe. We're going to gauge how it's going. So if we can see that you need more time, we'll let it go longer. And then when that time is up, we are going to, do I have to go to this now? No?
There you go. Yeah, it's up there. Level 2. Yeah, it's up there.
Sort of. Don't worry.
Okay.
The point is, we're gonna give you like 3 different time frames to work and start to really kind of congeal your ideas. And then when you kind of like maybe have like 2 or 3 people on your team, and you really kind of like are headed in an appropriate direction, you will actually move up to level 2. So you will take the stairs or the elevator and your papers, and the mentors and the different support will be going with you, and also the ideas will elevate. So if there's additional support, or if there's like 3 Unity developers and you need somebody else on your team, that's what the next level is for. So you can really kind of figure out that this is like the real crystallized idea and the crystallized team, and this is going to work. And then we're going to do the same thing, give you some time, ideate, and then, brainstorm a little bit more. It sounds complicated, but it's really not. It's like 5 different things of 10 minutes, but we just want to keep the time moving, so you keep going and you keep pushing yourselves. So then once that stage is done, you will go to level 3, where you're pretty much finalizing it, being like, okay guys, this is really what we're gonna do. This is our idea, here is our team. Are we good, are we not? And then you come to me and you register, and then you get a t-shirt. That's actually pretty important. So team formation starts, but it's not finalized by tonight. We don't want to put the pressure on that you have to have the team tonight. You have to have your idea. Don't worry, we're still going to work it out for tomorrow. I'm hoping to ask everybody to finalize everything by 8 p.m. tomorrow night of your team, like your teammates. You don't have to have your idea finalized, but just your team and your people. But you do need to come see me, and I will give you a team registration number, and then you're good to go. It's the same as like last year, where you have to use GitHub and DevPost and create a YouTube video, like commercial thingy, and I will explain all of that, and it will be posted online, but don't worry about that yet, okay? Make a really good idea. This is the time to create that, and then we can focus on the logistics and the details, I promise.
I got 4, you gotta help me out and get the other 4.
Okay, so yes, we're starting with.
Here, I'll do 1 round. Can you add the other 4? Yeah. What I missed. All right, so reiterate that one time. So part of this, you guys stick with us. So part of the reason we tried to approach it this way, and I will give a little bit of reference to the video for if it was too abstract for maybe some folks. And so as we're in the process of trying to like refine a culture of this XR community, right? And so part of that is, how do you even facilitate people picking teams? What happens if you're a really quiet person, you have amazing ideas, but you're a little intimidated by 400 people screaming in the same space, right? So, and if you've been here before at the hackathons, you know that sometimes that can be a barrier. So we were trying to structure this in a way where we're not sort of alienating folks who might have different communication styles. And so what we're gonna do, again, to reiterate, is on this bottom level, with ideation, we kind of broke down these sort of 8 target areas. Something's happening to them. And so All right. as we are in the process. So what actually I really love as a filmmaker when you have technical challenges, because you work in a field dependent on media, then sometimes a little audio cord can just fuck up the whole night with like blipping in and out, but you're just totally at the mercy of this tiny little thing that's just choosing at its will to like edit your presentation. But we're at a hackathon, so like what else would be more appropriate? So for level one, we broke up these sort of like over themes, and some of them correlate to the tracks, which will be announced in the morning. And so we figured this would be a way to, on the bottom level, where we'll have 8 places set up where you can find people who are interested in similar things. So there's social good will be the next one added. We have mobility, thinking about the future of mobility and transportation, whether that be from an auto standpoint, walking, navigating streets, etc. Social good, I think, is the last one, right? Fun and games, which will also be called shits and giggles. So just doing stuff, you want to design something that's fun, and so social good, fun and games, storytelling, things that might be more like rooted in story, health and. No, that's it. That's it. That's all 8. No, that's 8. See, work in process. So these 8 will be down there. So we kind of came up with these as a way to like find people who might be interested in similar sort of areas. This is by no means a sort of definitive thing, right? So on the first level, you're just like, oh, I'm interested in social good. You are, but and so you find people. Obviously, you want to be working towards having a robust team of designers and developers and balance, et cetera. But we figured this would be a good way to like group people with the Post-it notes. Instead of everyone screaming, maybe you like to just sort of listen a little bit more. So this first section, you'll have about 20 minutes to just either walk around talking, or you might just write your ideas for social good on a Post-it note and stick it in the social good area. Write your name down that you're using on Discord so that someone could then find you, right? So if I read your Post-it note that is an awesome idea for social good, I could just ping you and be like, hey, I saw that you wrote that you want someone last year made a garden that you could grow as an AR gift card. That was this really awesome project. And so maybe you're like, oh, a garden for growing gift cards in AR. That sounds dope as fuck. Hey, I just read your idea. I'm standing over here. So there could be this level of communication that's happening that's not just screaming and yelling in the space, because you're just walking around with a Post-it note and sticking ideas. Maybe you're just walking around and looking at the ideas that people are sticking. So there'll be 20 minutes where some people might be talking, some people might be writing, some people might just be reading, but that's all happening on the first level. As you start to have a team that's getting formed, and you maybe want to move towards like, okay, now we need to get organized, then you can move up to level 2. Is this kind of making sense? So then the crowd of, look how many people it is, right? So now the crowd is starting to spread out, and you could be like, okay, I'm over ideating. Now I really want to just meet some people and get onto a team. So then that is happening on the second level. Then as your team is ready and you need to go get in line to register with Sarah, then you're migrating up to 3. Does that make sense, folks? And this will be loose, and it'll be crazy, and it'll be a hackathon, but we're hoping that it'll coalesce.
And we haven't done this part before, so please bear with us as well. But at least it's a way to keep things moving and you get engaged.
And it's an evolution of thought. So the first year we had sticky notes of what your role is, but then we found that people were like, okay, I need A, B, C, D, and E, and there wasn't as much of time to just explore ideas creatively. And so this is our 3rd iteration of this picking attempt. And then there will be a 4th one next year. Yes, sir.
There's different locations.
So this is all occurring under the core dome at the entrance to MIT, that main entranceway. And there's 3 levels. So you can just look up and see how many people are on level 2. The stairwell is also right there. So you could be on level 1, see someone you really thought you wanted to work with, and they're up on level 2, and just walk up the stairs to level 2, or just walk up to level 3. So we're all going to be in the same space under the Great Dome. It's just 3 levels under the atrium. Balconies. So there's going to be mentors walking around to try to connect folks, but ideally you're trying to find the person whose idea you resonated with or who resonated with your idea. So you'll just be walking around and meeting folks, the speed dating thing the whole time.
The point of this, is this loud enough now? The point of this is to also kind of get away from, it's actually to get away from this. It's to get away from so much noise so you can actually concentrate. So if you are still looking for team members, then you can still stay on level 1. That's totally fine. If you think that you have got something going, then that's when you can move to level 2. So you don't have to feel like, oh man, we're all pressured, we all have to go. But yes, everybody should progress through all the levels and then back down. But the point being is that we want to make sure that everybody's very happy with the people that they're going to be teamed up with. And we can then, we as mentors and just the participants as well, can help facilitate everybody to be happy with the teams. So if you saw somebody before and you realized that they were good, but maybe not good enough for your team, you can help pair them as well. So this is like a very visual thing. And we have a ton of space that we're actually going to utilize. So please use it. This is the crucial time, actually, because as soon as this starts, it's heads down, and you guys don't get to do this again. So enjoy it. Please utilize it, and go wild.
And, we'll also be communicating the whole time, so you'll be getting notes from us, when to move, etc.
Just one last clarification. So you do the registration in the lobby where you got your badge, right? Yep. They got that? Okay. And also, there's a party Sunday night. If anyone wants to do an installation there or any kind of experience, talk to me. There's an opportunity to do that.
So we're gonna hang out here for the next like 10 minutes or so because they're still setting up and the other thing. So you can still hang out and still chat and everything like that, but 5, 10 minutes, whatever. You better impress me.
All right, let's see how this goes.